we're going to try for a moment. This is Joanne Hewins from lovetocreate.typepad.com. Today we're going to be using the Friends Are Like Seashells stamp set and the products that go along with it. Now I don't have everything, but I've got a lot of it. So this is the stamp set. It has some wonderful sayings in it. And I love the happy birthday to my beautiful friend. And friends are like seashells. You collect them along the way, and you are unique and completely amazing. So those are probably my favorites. But along with the seashells and all of that, some great sayings as well. They also have dies, the that's hard to say, Seaside Seashells dies. One of the dies is a super large die, and that one we're going to be using today. And then there are others that go with some of the images or some of the dies on the images. And then along with this is a embossing folder called the Seashells Embossing Folder. This folder is really, really neat. I'll be showing you a little bit more with it later, but it coordinates with this big die. You can kind of see maybe how that's going to work. So it coordinates together. And then there is the designer series paper that goes with this called the Sand and Sea. So I'm going to pull out some pieces of that to show you what it looks like. This just looks like the waves in the water, and this is the back side. And then here's a watery looking watercolor paper, and the other side has the, I don't know what those are. And then here is I love the watercolor look. It reminds you of the beach, doesn't it? And there's lots of starfish. Okay, Faith, it does seem to be doing okay right now. I might have lost everyone else. And here's, don't you just love those colors? And there's the sand dollars on the back. And then more of the watercolor, beachy looking colors. And a whole bunch of different seashells on the back of that. And then I love this sandy looking paper and more seashells on the back of that, larger seashells that you could cut out. So that's the paper. And then it also has another paper pictured here called the Pearlescent Specialty paper. This just has a beautiful sheen on both sides of it, and we are going to use this in just a little while. So that's what I have. I don't have the stickers, and I don't have the opal rounds. So, but it's just a beautiful, beautiful suite. And it is on page 40, 41, and actually 42. So there are lots of samples here and here. And then back in the back of the book, there would be another sample where they list all of the bundles. Let me find that for you. See, they have each bundle listed with another sample. So let's see. Here it is. This is the one that they have for this one. It's a little watercolor wash there. So a lot of samples in the catalog as well. So this is in the January-June mini catalog. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with the cards that we're going to make. And this is not even going to touch what all can be done with this suite of products. So I'm probably going to have today's video, and then in a week or two I'll come back and do another set of cards with this set of products because it's just too much. It offers so much. And I think you're going to think it's pretty wonderful. I do. I'm just now getting to where I'm working with it, and I've enjoyed it a lot. So this is the first card we're going to make, and it's using the Pearlescent paper. And we're going to emboss that in just a minute. The base of this card is Misty Moonlight, and it's 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at 4 1/4. And well, I was trying so hard to make sure I had it all. I'm just going to use my fingers, I guess, no, I can use this. I'm going to use this block to just kind of burnish my spine of my card. I'll get it. And I am going to bring in my emboss and cut for this. And let's see how I can, just move the camera. Let's see how I can get this in here, because I need to be able to turn my handle. Hold on just a moment. Well, that isn't going to work. Okay, maybe I can do that. All right, I'm going to have my plate, my basic plate. I'm going to have my 3D embossing folder called the Seashells. And then I'm going to put that in my embossing folder and lay that down. And then I'm going to be using plate 4 on top of that. And we are not going to use plate 4. We are going to be using just a clear plate because this is one of the 3D folders. Okay. Hey Beth, how are you? Hey Tina, sorry about the false start there. I think this is looking better. I've got the camera a little bit closer than I meant to have it, so I hope you can see okay on the embossing. Okay, so again, we used the basic plate. Well, actually, I had plate number 2 on there. This might be one of those days. I hope not. We'll emboss again, and I'll tell you for sure what we're supposed to have on that. So I'm going to pull this out of the embossing folder, and you can see just how beautiful that is. We're going to add it to the card base just as is. Now I think you can add color to this paper with the blending pens if you choose to do that. Hi Jean. And but we're not going to do that today. We're just going to add the layer to the back of the card, or to the card front. Okay, so I'm just going to use some glue on this. We don't want to push really, really hard down because we don't want to push down our embossing. So I'm going to kind of hold this with my diagonal corners and put that down. And I'm going to hold it just a little bit. It doesn't seem to want to stick quite as easily maybe as some of the regular paper. But the Pearlescent paper is just beautiful. If you've thought about getting it and you don't have it, I would suggest that you get it. So now all we're going to do is add a sentiment. That's all this one needs. So I'm going to pull out the birthday sentiment that I liked so much, the happy birthday, and the Misty Moonlight pad. And I'm just going to stamp this up in the corner. This is actually bigger than I need it to be. Okay, and I'm going to bring in a trimmer. This is that small little trimmer that you could get last year if you joined Stampin' Up during celebration. This year, during joining celebration time, you can get a lot of beautiful paper in all of the colors. So if you need more information about that, let me know. I'll be happy to help you out. Okay. So I've got my sentiment, and I'm going to turn that over and put dimensionals on there. And I'm going to be using this ribbon. This is from the Flowers for Every Season ribbon combo pack, and that's in the annual catalog. And I'm just going to kind of use these dimensionals to help me hold on some of this ribbon, or it's actually a twine, I guess. And I don't want it to look maybe quite as regimented as I have the other one. So this looks a little bit weird, I know, but okay. So I'm just going to do that. I'll cut that there. This does unravel kind of easily, a little bit easy. And then I'm going to add some more of the dimensionals on here. I'm just going to cut some of these and add some more. Since that ribbon is covering some of that, I want it to give me a little bit more coverage for my sentiment. I think I'll put one more on here, right in there. So let me pull off those, and I'll just add my sentiment kind of right in there, or wherever you want it. Okay, and then the only thing left to do for this on the outside is to add some of these enamel. This is the in color enamel dots. So let me get my take your pick tool, and hopefully I can get these and just add them wherever I'd like. You know, they had a little bit of trouble with some of those in the beginning, and this could be some of those. I don't know, because I had some of those in the beginning. I, of course, did not throw them away. And so I'm just kind of getting them unstuck a little bit. And then there you go. There's the outside of the card, and it was so easy and so simple, and I think it's a beautiful, elegant card. Now we're going to do the inside real quick. So I thought that the Very Vanilla would look better with this rather than the white. So we're just going to do some stamping with the Misty Moonlight. I think I'll get this out of the way so I don't get stuff all over it. Okay, so let me add the saying, Friends Are Like Seashells. And then we're going to add some of these seashells. And look at the dimension that you see in this. Isn't that gorgeous? And then I'm going to add, not a lot of dimension in this, but I'm going to add the sand dollar and a starfish in there. Okay, and then that will go on the inside of the card. And I didn't want to not show you this simple card that you could do, trying to go to the hard. Sometimes the simple is all you need. I have a hard time realizing that, but sometimes it's all you need. So here we go. We've already got one done. So I think that's a great birthday card for somebody special. Let me put that out of the way. And the second card that we're going to make is this one. And it is using the large die. I'm sorry, but sometimes my words just don't come as well. So I'm going to move this out of the way and move the emboss machine back in. And I'm sorry, I really don't have this in the camera very well. I want to be able to turn the handle. So anyway, I've got the base plate, the number 2 plate. Then I'm going to put my plate that is a little more worn down. I'm going to put my cardstock, and this is just cardstock that is actually the size of a card. It is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I'm going to just put that on there and then put the other clear plate. And I'm going to warn you, this is going to shake when I cut through it. It's going to shake the camera. Trying to do it smooth. Okay. Now I'm going to move the machine out of the way because I want you to see how well that cut out. So let me remove the plates and all of this stuff. And see how quick, how well it cut everything out. Just one pass through. And I'm going to get my Take Your Pick tool and just get a couple of those. Now on the card that I made for you today, let me see where I put it. I actually stamped this again on another one of these, or just on a piece of paper, and cut it out. And that's because I tried to stamp it on here and I had a hard time with getting it lined up. But I've decided I could have done better if I didn't have it white on white. So I'm going to try to see if I can line it up before I just do it on another piece of paper. Probably should have practiced a little more, but I knew I could do the second alternative. Let me clean. I don't think that's one I used though, is it? Okay, and we're going to be using Early Espresso. So I've got this just on this paper, but I'm not going to get any ink on that. Well, I hope I'm not going to get ink on that. So I've got the stamp and Early Espresso, and we're going to see if I can get this to line up a little bit better than I got it to yesterday. Well, that's not too bad. We're just going to use it. I think having something with color behind it kind of helped, but Not so sure that's so great. Okay, we're going to pull back in the stamping, cut, and emboss machine, and we're going to emboss this, so I will tell you exactly what plates you need. We've got plate 1, and I think what we're supposed to need, okay, we have a missing embossing folder. You know I just had it. It's right in front of my face. Here it is. Okay, now I want you to notice, oh gosh, let me move this back out of the way. Because I want you to notice how you can fit this right into the embossing folder just exactly as it's cut out. It's just so easy to match it up. Okay, I'm going to bring this back in. And I think what I need to have on here is number 4. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, that's the ideal thing. Okay. So had I not had that little plate hidden in there the first time, I would have been fine. Okay, so we're going to pull this out, and it really does do all that embossing and make those seashells really, really stick out. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is wonder what I did with my card contents. Do you ever have a day where you lay everything down and then you think, where did it go? Okay, let me move stuff out of the way. And here they are. Okay. So we are using, for the background, that paper that I showed you from the Sand and Sea. So I'm going to adhere that first. We'll get through this, and I hope that you'll decide that you like these products. And some of you may have them already and have been using them. And maybe you've made cards that you are really excited about. So I'm going to turn this over, and we're going to put dimensionals on here, and I'm going to put quite a few. And then some of it will not have quite as much, but it's okay. So what I'm going to do for some of these seaweedy looking things is cut again some of these in half. So I think that will go there. And then I might cut that one into thirds. Put one in there. And, oh geez. I'm just going to put something down in here, but that's actually too much. I think that's enough to put on there, and we'll just take these off. Okay, and we'll add this to the front of the card. So I like that it sticks out beyond this background just a little bit, and that is cut to 4 by 5 1/4. And if you'll remember, I cut paper for this cutout the same size as the card, which would be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Okay, we are going to use the same stamp set we used, or the same stamp we used a little bit ago for our saying. Let me clean that off. And we're still using Early Espresso. Hey Teresa, how are you? Let's see if that will fit in there. It will if I can do it straight. Teresa, did you get this set?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. So because we've used dimensionals on the rest of this, I'm just going to put some glue on this, and some of this will hit the white part and some of it won't, but we'll be fine. And I'm just going to kind of slip that under there just a little bit. Okay, now let's talk about the twine that we used on this. It's the same twine we used for the other, and I just did like a double little piece, and I did some knots. So I'm just going to and this worked really easily when I did it before. So I just did a little knot there, and I'm going to come down a little bit further. There, that's a little better. And tie another knot. And do the same thing a little bit further down. I don't know why I thought that looked nautical, but probably not, but I liked it. So, and then we're going to do another knot. And I'm just going to cut that in there. Actually, I might cut it a little bit closer. Okay, and then to adhere that, I used glue dots, and I'm just going to roll those up, and I kind of put one under there. You think I've glued it enough? That'll work. And I'm going to roll up the glue dot and just kind of put it behind that knot. And then I just kind of placed it around. So add another glue dot right in there. And maybe up a little higher if I can. And then put something right in there. Okay, and then we are going to add some of the rhinestones with that. And this was a pack of rhinestones I got a long time ago that were a little wacky. This is not the way Stampin' Up sends their stuff. And in fact, had I called them, they would have replaced this. I just didn't think I needed to call them about that, but they would have replaced it. They really have higher standards than this. Okay, so just adding the rhinestones around, and I've done 3 already. I think I'll just add a couple more. Why not? We'll do one down in here. Okay. So there's that. And then on the inside of this card, just trying to make sure I got the right size, we are going to add that same saying that we used before, and I used it in Misty Moonlight before, so I think we're okay. So we'll just stamp that. Now, I try to line up my paper so that it helps me to line up my stamps. Now, as I say that, I'll probably do that crooked, but it kind of helps me to do that. And then we're going to stamp another one of these seashells, and we're using the same color, the Early Espresso, down in that corner. I just do think these seashells are so pretty. And then we'll glue this into the card. And again, I think this is kind of a simple way to use the dies and the embossing folder. But I still think it's very pretty. Hey, Nancy Rogers. Good to see you. Oh, you're going to want that embossing folder. Okay. And so there's this stamp set, this card. Now, you know, I do give away the cards that I make each week. And last week, we used the Wild Roses background stamp. And Susan Hunsucker is going to be getting those cards. Okay, so this is the last card that we're going to make today. And it's a little bit more difficult, but really not that bad. So, but I've got some of the stuff already cut out for us to see if it will help us out a little bit. So I have cut our card base out of the soft sea foam, and we're going to be using this piece of the Sand and Sea Designer Series paper. This is 4 by 5 1/4, and it's just going to go right on there as our background. And, oh, getting ready to make that one upside down. Have you done that before? I have. Okay, so we've got that glued on. And I've already cut out one of the large dies with the soft sea foam. And that's this die right here that I used a little bit ago. Let's see if I can get a few of the white pieces out of there. Okay, and for the background here, I'm going to bring in a blending brush, and I'm going to be using Shaded Spruce because I want to put a little bit of color on my leaves. So what I'm going to do is just, we talked about blending brushes last week. I'm going to get some of the color here. I'm going to just tap off a little bit of it, and then I'm just going to go over my soft sea foam. Now we're going to put seashells on top of this. That's why I thought, well, that'll be easy to color, give a little bit of color. Oops, got that one kind of dark. And not have to worry about what's under there. So I think that's good enough. So that is soft sea foam, and I have shaded spruce with that. And that just gives it that little bit of extra color to it. Now I've also already cut out another one of the white shapes, okay? And I'm going to use blending brushes to color those seashells. So I'm going to bring in my crumb cake and a blending brush. Okay, I'm going to use this one. And I'm going to color in some of the seashells with the blending brush. Now this isn't exactly how I made this card. I just thought this would be easier. So we'll see how this works out. Okay, I think I'll just go ahead and get a little bit of that brown in there. And then I'm going to bring in Blushing Bride and color in. Just stuck my finger in the ink and color in this. Doesn't that look like a mess? I think I like some of that pink up in there. Okay. And then, Nancy, here's where you're going to see that you need that embossing folder. I'm going to bring back in my machine. We're going to use that embossing folder. And let me put that in here before, hey Terry, before I bring in the machine so you can see it's going to, I think I'm going to do it from up here. It's going to just go right, you can lay it right into place by just looking at. Okay, you know what? I'm going to wait. What I'm going to do, I think this will be simpler. I'm going to cut out these shells and add them to the card. So I'm just going to kind of cut them out right where these little pieces attach. I'm just going to cut them off. I think the way I'm going to do it, I'll save a step, because what I was going to do is emboss these and then add them to the card. And then I was thinking I would probably end up having to emboss them again. So why do that? Why not just emboss one time? So I'm going to add that. You can kind of see how it's going to fit on there. Okay, and we'll do that for each of these. Okay. Just trying to see how that's going to fit. And I think I'll just put the glue there. Okay. Hey Sandy, how are you today? it's not quite as easy to trim this when you don't know exactly where the shell is. So it might have been better to embossed and then added. But this is going to work. Okay, and you're thinking this is a lot of work, but it's really not that bad. Just cut a couple of things away. It will be worth a little bit of effort. The coloring wasn't that hard. Okay. We'll see how that is supposed to fit. I think it goes this way. Okay, let me brush aside some of this trash. And now we are actually going to emboss. So let me pull that back in. And I'm going to fit that right in there. See how that looks together? Okay, and I'm going to pull in my machine. And again, this is pretty close. I'm doing the bottom plate, my embossing folder with the paper inside, and my number 4 plate. Okay. And I'm going to go through kind of slowly, trying not to rock this too much. Okay. All right, are you ready? And now look how pretty that is. Can you see the detail that embossing folder added? You gotta have it, Nancy. Okay, so I'm going to turn this over and add my dimensionals. Again, I am notorious for laying down dimensionals and not being able to find them. Will that work there? Okay. Alrighty. That might be close to the edge. I guess a lot of you know, if you read my newsletter, you know that we're expecting another baby. And she is going to be born on March 14th, unless she decides that she doesn't want to wait that long. And we are very excited. Her name is Hazel. And I just wanted to tell you this little story. There is a friend that I've come across who is also a stamper who lives in Virginia. And she shared with me, after I had shared, that my daughter was pregnant and that she had been artificially inseminated, and that she lived in Charlotte, not Charlotte, golly, in Greensboro. Joy contacted me and she said, well, my daughter-in-law is pregnant and she was also inseminated. And upon talking, we found out that it was the very same company, outfit or medical place that had inseminated both of them. So Joy contacted me this morning and told me that her daughter-in-law is set to have her baby on February 23rd. She's going to be a little bit earlier than we are. And her little baby is also going to be a Hazel. So I just think that is so interesting. She's going to be Hazel Grace. And my Hazel is going to be Hazel Ann. And guess where the Ann comes from? I'm supposed to be sharing that with the other grandmother who is named Diane. And I'll share it with her. It's okay. And with an E. So I used the layering circles for my circle here. I used the smallest one, that's this one. I went ahead and cut that out ahead of time. This For You stamp is part of the Seashells, Friends Are Like Seashells stamp set. And then I used linen thread, and I had already tied a bow. I used one of these bow makers, these wooden bow makers, to make my bows, so I didn't think you needed to watch me do that. So there it is. There it is, and I think it's really pretty. I love that green in the background. So let's see, what did I put on the inside of this one? Okay, let me make sure I've got the right size. So we're going to use the Friends Are Like Seashells again. I was really liking that, or I just wanted to keep using the same thing and not get something else out, I suppose. And we're going to stamp this one in crumb cake. And I really do like this one the best. Here's the other one. And what I did is I embossed it first and then did the coloring with the blender brushes, but I think I like this. I think I like this better. I like the brown or the crumb cake and the Blushing Bride together like that. Okay, let me open this back up again. Tanya, how are you? Hazel Grace is a beautiful name, isn't it? Okay, I'm not sure what I've used, so I'm going to pull in this, and I know I use this with the, and I know I use this straw with something, so I'm going to go ahead and clean that. All right, so the big stamp is going to be in Blushing Bride. It's my favorite too, Nancy. But sometimes I feel like I just do really hard things, and stamping doesn't have to be hard. Oftentimes people really can't tell how much time you've put into something. Okay, so that was in the crumb cake, and then I'm going to do one in the early espresso. Oops. And I don't know, I may have told you before, and this probably sounds ugly. I don't mean to sound ugly, but I am not one for writing a lot in a card. And I kind of feel like if I go to all of this trouble to make someone a card, they probably shouldn't expect me to write forever in it also. So I guess that does sound ugly, but I don't mind putting a lot of stuff on the inside so that there's not a lot of room for me to have to write stuff. I don't know if anybody else feels like that or not. Okay. So there we go. There's this card all done. And today we have used well, where's that stamp set now? Okay, we have used the Friends Are Like Seashells stamp set. And we used the dies that go with that. And we use the embossing folder that goes with that. And here's one of the dies. So it has the big dies and it has a few that cut out some of these other seashells. We also used the sand and sea and sand designer series paper. So really and truly, this suite has a lot of really nice things in it. We used that pearlescent paper, and then the cards that we made were this one, and this one, and this one. So I thought they were good, but I'm telling you, I have not even scratched the surface of what can be done with this group of products. So I am going to use this group of products on another video. I thought I would do it next week, but I'm thinking no, that we will do something different and come back to this. So next week, I think that I'm going to have some stuff with a fun fold. My sister Martha was sharing with me yesterday some folds that she's found online, and she had made some beautiful, beautiful cards. So I may just steal one of those folds, and we'll do a couple cards with that next week. Now, let me remind you that next week I'm getting my second COVID shot at 4 o'clock on Wednesday. So next week we will be meeting at 1 o'clock rather than 4, so I can go get my other shot. I'm excited to have them both, especially before little Hazel Ann gets here. So I'll be picking someone to send these cards to from people who make comments on my video or on my YouTube channel when I get the video up on Saturday. I will have the post up on Saturday that has measurements and a little more details, and this video will go back up with that. Thanks, Jean. I'm glad you liked all 3 cards. I enjoyed doing them. Once I got started, it was all good. And I'm so glad the screen cleared up and didn't keep having all those problems. And I could see the comments this week, so all good. Susan Hunsucker will get last week's cards. And Susan, if you do happen to watch this at some time, I might want you to pick those up if you're over here in Conover. Okay, lovetocreate.typepad.com. I'd love for you to share this with friends if you think they may be interested. And you may find my online store here at lovetocreate.typepad.com, and I would love to have you purchase from me. That would just make me happy, and I think you would love the products. So let me know if there's anything I can do for you. Have a wonderful rest of the week, and bye-bye.